Summary of Fight Club by Chuck Palahniuk. Fight Club in brief. By at the start of the book, a person who doesn't have a name is sitting on the top floor of a building that's about to blow up, and a man named Tyler Durden is putting a gun in his mouth. Almost all of the story is told in memories. Before, the narrator starts having trouble sleeping. Even though he doesn't have cancer, he starts going to cancer support groups because he's tired of his business, consumerist life. The support groups give the narrator a safe place to talk about her feelings and a good place to sleep. But soon, a woman named Marla Singer joins the groups as another fake. Marla says that she goes to support groups because she wants to feel close to death. When the narrator goes on vacation, he meets a strange man named Tyler Durden on a beach. Tyler Durden gives the narrator his phone number. When the narrator gets back to his house, he finds that it has blown up. He has nowhere else to go, so he calls Tyler. Tyler lets him stay at his house for a while. One day, Tyler gets the narrator to hit him as hard as he can. The narrator doesn't want to, but he does it anyway. Tyler and the narrator then understand that they love to fight because it makes them feel alive and real. While the narrator sleeps at Tyler's house, he keeps working at his business job, which requires him to drive around the country to figure out how much it will cost to recall dangerous cars that his company made. Tyler, on the other hand, works at a hotel as a waitress and at a movie theater as a projectionist. Tyler uses his jobs to hurt society. For example, he pees in fancy dishes at the hotel and puts one frame of pornographic material into family movies. Tyler and the narrator found a secret group called Fight Club, whose members fight each other to get in touch with reality and their own manhood. Tyler gets a call from Marla at his house, so he goes to her hotel. After this happened, Tyler and Marla started having loud, frequent sex in the house, which annoyed the narrator. Tyler tells the narrator that if he talks about him in front of Marla, he'll never see Tyler again. Tyler also shows the narrator how he makes money by making soap and selling it to high-end shops. During one session of making soap, Tyler kisses the narrator's hand and pours lye on it. This leaves a scar on the narrator's hand that looks like Tyler's kiss. Tyler says that he is trying to help the narrator find wisdom by getting him to accept death and pain. Marla often goes to Tyler's house to drop off boxes of collagen that was taken by liposuction from her mother's old body. Tyler uses the collagen to make beautiful, smooth bars of soap that he sells for a lot of money. When Marla finds out, she gets very angry. The narrator sees that he, Tyler, and Marla are never in the same room. Marla calls the narrator and asks him to check her for breast cancer. After they find out that she does have breast cancer, Marla starts going to real cancer support groups. While this is going on, the cops call the narrator and tell him that they think someone, maybe even the narrator himself, blew up his condo. As time goes on, Fight Club gets more and more popular, to the point where new groups start popping up all over the country. Tyler makes a new secret society called Project Mayhem that is part of the secret society. Tyler puts his Project Mayhem members through a rough process to get them started, and then he tells them to give up their own happiness and identities for the good of the cause. Tyler's house is full of Project Mayhem members, all of whom are completely devoted to him. He also sends his followers on tasks to destroy society, which usually involve bombings or other acts of mischief. The narrator continues to spend time with Marla and help her as she fights cancer. One night, Tyler calls the narrator at work and tells him to get into a Project Mayhem car that is ready for him. The narrator does this, and the driver, a mechanic, swerves the car on and off the road while asking the narrator, "What did you want to do before you died?" "I quit my job," says the narrator. As they drive, the narrator gets so sad about how pointless his own life is that he tries to drive the car into oncoming traffic. The mechanic stops him. Project Mayhem goes on as normal, but Tyler is nowhere to be found. The narrator, who is confused, goes to different bars and clubs to try to find Tyler. Every single time, the bartenders call him Sir. The narrator finds out in the end that everyone thinks he is Tyler Durden. The narrator calls Marla, and she calls him Tyler as well. Tyler suddenly shows up in front of the narrator and says that he is the narrator's other self. He and the narrator share the same body, but Tyler is stronger and more charismatic than the narrator. He is the narrator's unconscious, the completion of his buried wants. The narrator has had sex with Marla, set up tasks for Project Mayhem, and turned human fat into soap and bombs. The narrator tells Marla the truth because he is afraid of what he is becoming. The narrator tries to shut down Project Mayhem and the Fight Club, but he finds out that Tyler has prepared his loyal following for this possibility. The members kick the narrator out and start keeping an eye on him. The narrator finds out that his boss died in an accident blast, and he figures out that Tyler and Project Mayhem are to blame. Project Mayhem finds the narrator, calls him Mr. Durden, and gets ready to castrate him for being untrustworthy. The narrator loses his or her mind. The narrator wakes up in the ruins of his old apartment. He hasn't been castrated. He thinks about killing himself, but then he sees that he cares about Marla and needs to look out for her. He finds Marla, who tells him that he, as Tyler, has killed more people. The narrator loses awareness again and wakes up on the top floor of a building, just like at the start of the book. Tyler says that they are now going to die heroically. Suddenly, Marla and the other people in her cancer support group walk into the building, where they find the narrator pointing a gun at himself. The bomb's timer goes off, but nothing happens. The narrator sees that Tyler and Project Mayhem must have used bad explosives. But he shoots himself in the face anyway. In the last part of the book, the narrator says that his attempt to kill himself didn't work because he shot through his neck and ear, hurting him but not killing him. Tyler hasn't bothered him since he tried to kill himself. Marla sends him letters while he is in the hospital getting better. Members of Project Mayhem sometimes stop by and tell him, calling him Mr. Durden, that they can't wait for him to get back to work.
About the author. Chuck Palahniuk grew up in Washington in a town called Burbank. When he was 14, his parents split up, which had a big effect on his work. As a young man, he worked at a motor shop and did other odd jobs. He also helped at homeless shelters and hospitals. Palahniuk didn't begin writing until he was 30. After publishers turned down his first novel, he started working on his most famous book, Fight Club, which made him a minor literary celebrity when it came out in 1996 and a major literary celebrity when it was turned into a cult movie starring Edward Norton and Brad Pitt by director David Fincher. The book and movie were so well known and powerful that fight clubs like them popped up all over the country, including one on the grounds of Princeton University. Palahniuk's more recent books haven't had the same cultural effect as Fight Club, but he's still a very famous author, and two of his other books, Choke, 2001, and Rant, 2007, have been made into movies.
Hope we summarized it fully and you liked it. Please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel so that we are motivated to create more videos.